got into playoffs, and now they have to try and fight their way on the lower bracket every single time. It is the same sort of thing for G2 at this point. Obviously, yesterday they could not hit the mark. They just didn't have the rhythm that they wanted to, or had been able to have previously against Wolves. However, it was the best Wolves have played, and it was 2 max OTs.
Yeah, and it wasn't, just a one-off game either, because they instantly went through and won the next game as well to put themselves in Place Belle on the main stage one way or another. So Wolves surprising many, G2 as well with that loss, but today is Revenge Day.
As Valentine's often is.
is okay.
Oh no, sorry, I'm getting
It's a different kind of.
I'm getting my holidays confused.
What kind of holiday are you talking about?
Revenge
holiday.
Valentine.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little known holiday on the 15th of February. It's a very lovely atmosphere in the talent room today.
It is. Everybody has nice little hearts everywhere.
We bullied Parker into getting one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I just went up there and I just took it.
Yep.
They asked, do you want a heart? Like, yeah, sure.
Of course, of course. Who wants a heart? Doki, mate. His idea, though, is more shooting them. He has been phenomenal throughout this tournament. He was very powerful for G2 yesterday. However, there was a little bit that was missing in terms of the sort of lockdown, the coordination, the timeouts that were called, highlighted that. Said we're going for these hero plays, we're not quite hitting the mark. We need to go back to the team play that we do so well. Against a team like FaZe, that's a trickier thing to sort of ask, because they have these huge gunners where, the team play might be something. If that slips away again, you could be in a very difficult situation.
Good Black Eyes setup to provide an extra bit of utility and information to G2. Valkyrie often seen to be banned, but, with those current bans on the board, it is to make it a little bit easier for the attack to break through, which means then instead you will have to worry about potential cameras to be out there. There's a Cade on Bandit and ban on Cade and Bandit, there we go, is going to be making sure that only mute jammers are really going to be stopping any of these breaches to go through quickly. And as the first breach has been made, a keeper barrier instantly will be reinforcing that, just to make sure that it is going to be taking just a little bit longer before these attackers are going to be able to clear out that top floor.
And that's always the game. Wasting time, long it out. It's a long series and a long sort of showdown here for them to see if they can slip their way through with Souls. Getting the opener, a great pinch. They led them into the engagement with the DMR. You can see some pressure was coming onto the back end as well. Blur is still sat. He was hoping to get a sort of slink away fade on the swing on Blue and Adam, but it wasn't really handed to him. So the rest of G2 have actually pulled themselves back down. They're getting some eyes, some ideas. They have C4s. They have the element of danger and surprise. But it's waiting for now for FaZe, who are doing a pretty slow approach here.
It is a pretty slow approach, but the thing is as well, they don't really need to be super quick from the get-go because of the fact that it is just so easy to open everything up. Like, especially these hatches, there's only going to be impacts that can stop one of them. And that means the others should just be opened up without any pressure really coming through.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Goes one. Camera will be spotting out on the line with that DMR that was deadly earlier on in the round. Souls, the one and only kill so far in this game.
I mean, that's what I mean. It feels like there's a moment where this needs to kick into a higher gear here for FaZe. They're still getting themselves a stretch, but the hatch is locked in kitchen. They have some pressure above Moto. Vidaking is just going to start droning that out and getting some eyes. You've got a first bit of movement down to the basement floor, 30 seconds. They finally got eyes down the corridor, and they've got the breach onto Church. Oh, there's no immediate pressure coming on the back of it. The E1D pops off to limit some of the movement. The Buck is hunting above kitchen as the swings don't quite come yet, although it's Virtue that gets caught out first on the breach. Looks away, gets the planter. Benja tucked in the corner, goes for the next, but look at the timer. Benja, he's tucked on one side, Alamau on the other. Huge fight for Benja to win. Alamau's above the hatch, waiting and watching. Doesn't quite get the kill. The swing goes away from him. There it is. One more. No! FaZe! And from nothing to everything in 30 seconds.
They had the entry, but they didn't did much for the side itself. A triple wall take came to be. And Benja just wreaking some havoc right there, making them go full panic mode. Element the same, of course, dropping that hatch. It's not a great start for G2 there. To side they probably wanted to win.
Attackers need to locate.
Now, I was just thinking about the bans a little bit more. And you saw G2 go in with the first ban, which was the Maverick. But then at the same time, you're seeing the Cade and you see the Bandit ban, and you kind of start thinking, the Maverick ban is actually like useless now.
Yep.
Maverick wouldn't have done anything.
Nope.
So a bit of play going through with those bans. FaZe Clan making sure that the attack ban not really impactful for the side of G2.
It's also, you know, but in that, with the Bandit being the ban there and the limitation on the Maverick, the Kaid was also G2's ban. They
True.
could have opted for something else if they wanted to. They sort of, they had a rule and a role and they wanted to go with it. The Bandit is the biggest surprise, don't get me wrong. And it makes some of these sort of top holds potentially different. You can sort of ban trick off. We've seen it done a little bit more in international play than we see it, I think, in same nation play.
Yeah, it is funny how, you know, we barely see any of these bandit tricks happen anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Dangerous with, you know, double heart breachers, which basically makes it impossible. Yet on the 6th Invitational, I think we've seen a couple of them happen already. So
we've seen them successful multiple times. And it's a surprise, but it's also, you know, that's, I guess, time is cyclical. Everything returns at some point to find itself back into the fight. And here we go. FaZe. Once again, setting themselves up. And, you know, I said it was a cautious, bit slow approach before. It came down to the wire of a 1 versus 1 fight. If Alamau had locked in the first kill on the hatch instead of not quite getting the full lock in.
Yeah, not having to drop as well as a result.
Not having to drop as a result, it could have been a very different story. It could have been a different round. And that's the danger of a push that late on. FaZe, they're putting more attention towards the site much earlier. Obviously, it's much easier to do on this site because you're onto the direct wall from the top. You don't have to try and shepherd people down. But I think that is something that will work way more in their favor.
It should be, gives them a bit of an extra opportunity to lock out these individual players, start working on pinch maneuvers, find the kills as a result. Of course, there is going to be that mirror window inside the bathroom that will be problematic, and you know, still the fact that the CCTV wall will stay shut. There's nothing really either on the side of FaZe to use to get rid of that, because you know, no Maverick, and you know, they didn't bother bringing a Thatcher because why would you? In this current ban system with Cade and Bennett gone.
Astro trying to find the fight and the mirror window, but the fight finds him. Virtue came around on the back end with Doki doubled up to help with the search. So Sophia's gone, including some of the pressure from underneath, which is a bit of a blow. They don't have any grenades to try and get catches from under. They don't have any other sort of long-range pop utility at this point. They're more of a blunt object trying to fight their way through. Pre-firing against the mirror window, they slip on by. It has been smashed and broken. The C4 will just slip its way out, but gets removed. There's Candela's blinding Doki, but Cyber goes down in amongst the smoke. There's some support. Vidaking has dropped in logistics, rotating his way around the back of Blur, but Blur is off the board. Alamau tucked on a corner. There's someone coming behind him. Vidaking is going massive on the top of the stairs. Is downed and stopped, but 2 versus technical 1, 15 seconds. It's all been revealed on the camera. Cannot go for the pickup, and we are back level.
That's all we need. We need to fucking read them.
Well done there by G2. Quickly listening. Just some good jobs being given out.
Was because the koi VOD.
Guys, fake one, right?
Ah, you heard that?
Yeah.
That was from the koi VOD, that kind of call that just came through. So they have learned something there. The strats being shown on camera. Lovely. Just to go back on what happened there is, you know, quick openings happened from FaZe, but the one point they struggled with is putting up the pressure from multiple sides. You might be wondering, you might be, you know, a new viewer and wondering, like, why is that? Why did they not have the pressure from multiple sides? And that's because they still had a player, G2, active inside of CCTV, able to use that window to get rid of the entire balcony, the entire highway section of the map. because there was just no way of challenging it. And normally that's a quick fix, because you open up the CCTV wall and suddenly it is not as safe to play there anymore, because there is the opening from either side you need to worry about.
5 seconds left.
But the mute jammer stopped that from happening, and there was no Thatcher, because again, why would you bring a Thatcher if Cade and Bandit are off the board? You're supposed to be opening up whatever wall you want to open up anyway already.
Back down to Chuck. With this stretch, with this extension all the way to the top, they've got the walls done, the mute jammers, and Toki and Benja doubling up. It's one of the things that you need those two players to sort of play together, to pop off, to give themselves the extension and support that would otherwise be sort of missed, especially when you're trying to find these engagements with FaZe. You know how good FaZe can be on guns. Multiple of the players are always on the cusp of breaking or setting records. So sort of matching the fire with that, being that one step ahead. The motion that came around underneath was exactly what they needed. There's a little bit more direct attention paid. The slink away. Doki was the first catch last time on the opposite side of the map. This time, he has been able to slink his way back towards the site before the pressure became too hot. All 5 players have given it away, the territory on the top floor, but that doesn't mean FaZe know this. They've still got to clear it. They've still got to steadily make their way through.
That's it, right? Like, the drones still need to come through, the angles still need to be checked, and with the barricades being out there, that always leaves you to wonder if someone might be coming in from the strip later on, so that really needs to be droned out well. Otherwise, Cyber is getting himself near the actual kitchen. There is going to be a spot, like, okay, a player is currently near the kitchen, everybody, be aware. Zelamau is continuing with his cardiac sensor to see if he can take down any of these players to come through with a potential C4. As rotations are being made, that is just to prepare for FaZe. A lot of damage done to Alamau. Cyber didn't even know that that was a player down there.
See, you say that.
The drone came through.
The drone just came through. Cyber's been playing the buck. They knew that there was a threat at the pulse. I don't think they expected the pulse to sit around.
That's it.
But they did that so the pulse would have to move away and wouldn't be able to read and get a clean C4 throw. The impact trick on the first bit of X-Kairos. The second goes through. Doki has one more. They traded places and is ready to see if he can try and stop this once again. They're hoping the bait's against it. There's the first that pop off, and a little bit too late as the hatch does get opened.
Didn't probably realize that there was another set of X-Kairos on it, so didn't toss his impact grenade. Now it's opened up. 2 players on the main stairs out here, spotted by Alamau. Of course, one is currently not active, but he spotted him going down earlier, and now they definitely know, because the opening comes through to C4. Takes down 1.
Benja threaded the needle there with the info that was coming from the pulse. There's a drive down in the middle. Cyber's able to get 2 with Astro 1 on the back end, and they've just strong-armed the site. FaZe decided to take it, so they did.
Sometimes that's just what you gotta do. You just run through, you go for those kills and are successful. And maybe a bit too tunnel there on the information that came down from the polls. They thought, you know, okay, this is still where the push is coming from. Suddenly you find yourself with a buck at your back that takes you both down. And that's again the Arsenal and Church taken care of by FaZe. A little bit more problematic this time. I mean, they weren't quite allowed to do what they wanted to do. And I say a little bit more problematic knowing full well that Blur and Alamau were quite problematic in the first round they played, almost clutching it out, but this one was structurally a bit more problematic for FaZe. They didn't have the openings they wanted, as they get stopped in their tracks trying to make them.
I think that was it, and that's that sort of demonstration I talked about where a lot of FaZe players are capable of that 0 to 100. They are so talented. With the hardware that this game offers, they're able to swing themselves into these engagements and make motions happen when a lot of other teams would be stumped. And that's one of those tricky challenges to get over. That's one of those hurdles where you sort of go, we've got to adapt this, but how you have to sort of lay traps, have preparation. Obviously, FaZe aren't untouchable. They are in this position because they've been beaten a few times, including by EU teams. G2 just needs to try and step in and be another one of those on the list. Benja, loose, potentially problematic. He's prepped the window. He's waiting for some approach to come above him, and if he goes unchecked, the C4 could do some damage, but that's a little bit of time away.
And FaZe, of course, they are a very well-experienced team. Just slight changes that they've made since the last couple of tournaments haven't really worked out just yet, but, you know, they're still alive. They're still in that lower bracket, and that means there is still going to be the opportunity for them to make that incredible comeback run. And G2, they might have had a lot more expectations for themselves after the groups. They came in quite confident, and the confidence was kind of shattered yesterday against Wolves. So pre-play C4, they're going to be fully aware of that, so that has to be taken down first by Bullet. Going to be doing that without too much issue. Continuing down towards the bar area, we'll be trying to go for some fishing with grenades, I reckon.
Doki gets the first. They're suffering a bit of the spray through the soft either side, and Blur pulls himself back round with a bit more structural support, but the crouched walk in, do they know? I don't think they have the awareness, and with the swing going to come onto Jim, the pre-fire gets the connection, Cyber gets one, Bullet gets bit back, little up the stairs, and there's a response from Benja. But does he know that somebody's behind him? It's a consistent chasing of a tail. There's a reveal, pre-fire in a fight, but the pressure on time is obviously on FaZe. With Astro getting one, they're above, they're below. He's got to choose which way he wants to try and fight his way out of this, and well, he's going to maybe opt for the top. It's the pull of the pin, the reveal of the player. A great take from Benja. He's going back for the next as a bite happens on the site itself for 2 versus 2. There's another bit of audio, another bit of pressure on the barb. He doesn't want to get pinched. He moves out of the way, pulls the grenade, forces the player. Bullet pre-firing the angles. Benja doing everything he can. Soul's offering some support. They're not quite sure where he is, but there's not many places he could go. And he's leaning into one more fight, doesn't get the lockdown though. And he's almost defined this round. Virtue is all that's left.
A lot of damage done there by Benja, staying alive, fighting for as much time as he possibly can. All Virtue needs to do is hit one of these shots, and then he can go on. That's the first. Only left to Souls now. The flashbang comes through. 12 seconds. Just save your time, Virtue. He needs to go.
He didn't have the kit.
He didn't have the kit. He needs to run all the way around as well. This is going to be very problematic. He needs to just go for a plant attempt, but there's no time for that. It is going to be G2 to win it out. And Benja did define that round, but still the tactical timeout will be called by G2.
I mean, that was it. If it wasn't for the heroics on those brick stairs, could have slipped away. Let's see what Fabian's got to say.
What's from my chat? Just search the replays.
Relax.
15 seconds.
Again, instead. Maybe now? He's talking. There you go.
I have this, you hold that. We need to communicate these small things. We have the pulse information, so Carl can give us the information we need. We calm ourselves down, and then we take the last 2 rounds, because you fucking got this, guys.
Guys, let's play the hard drum again, okay? But don't fall back.
We need a mute. We need a mute for the hard one.
Play a mute and then
They use thermite anyways.
Yeah, I just need to play master side, like that's it.
They use thermite anyways.
I can't pick up.
Let's go, boys.
Open the wall.
Church wall.
They will open anyways though.
Yeah, we mute it. Just
Guys,
You're
I'll
gonna
play.
play thermite.
I can play mute on set or not.
take your ring so I know what I do.
No, guys, play the same way, but this round, for example, I'm gonna play.
Okay, well, the bit that we got there, play the same way. They know what they need to do. They know that they can play these rotates, you know, play these movements and things, and it's just that confidence. It's just that pressure behind it, and it's getting it done. Not the easiest task.
No, it's definitely not the easiest, especially against a team like FaZe. Like, they might have not had the strongest tournament so far, but it's still a big name to go up against. Now, there was a bit of discussion going on there. It's basically the same what we've heard yesterday when they were playing against Wolves as well. Like, you need to communicate what you're seeing. You need to communicate what you're doing. You need to communicate what you need. In short, talk to each other. Make sure everybody knows what you're currently facing. And then there was a bit of discussion about whether or not to bring mute. Element said they will open up anyway, so it's not really a big deal to bring it. So they haven't brought it in the end. And Doki now will find himself onto the mezzanines, just trying to hide himself. Seeing if he could go for a pick somewhere. It's not being pushed so far yet, and Cyber also didn't quite scan the garage, because why would you if it is going to be a basement approach? That means they might not actually be fully aware of the fact that Doki's out there.
Well,
I don't know.
Now they know. Tucked himself down, pre-fired the angle. As we've seen. There's a great demonstration of how to close down Doki in this sort of area of the map, and they did it pretty well before the break. Over onto Jacuzzi wall, there's Blur not too far away. Instead of being down in blue, he's actually rotated up red to offer some support towards Doki. Astro, in the meantime, creeps the fight with Benja over onto Jim. Alamau rotates underneath to offer some support, an escape route with Benja, the pair of them, hot-footed away. Doki, in the meantime, he's getting a rotate too, but he finds Souls on the way through and can tuck tail, and he's almost tempted to go back up. Lean into more of an engagement, but I think he's convinced otherwise. They don't want to overextend their hand. They have an entry, and they know they can pressure time on the site.
Good call coming through right here to instantly rotate back. Want to be making this a turtle as quickly as possible. A lot of players were spotted as well up top. So again, all that droning that was done needs to be done again until you've taken the space, until you've taken the rotates out. And it's going to be a black eye located inside strip. Not really that, you know, threatening to decide off phase for now, but still want to deal with it. Hatches are opening up, and that means... Oops. The other one actually, at least... There we go. That's one, actually. Is that one or two on? That's one. That's not going to open it.
No.
Doing it from there because they're afraid of the fact that there might be a C4 coming. But if they don't actually check this could be very problematic because they think it's open.
No, I mean, he's looping around to the window, so he'll find out soon enough, and there's the finishing job. I think he sort of realized...
Missed him again.
Missed him again.
So many pellets just wasted.
That is a lot of pellets. They finally get it open. 30 seconds, kitchen hatch falls. They're going to put the pressure onto the triple wall as well. Again, no electrics to stop it, no mute jammers. It's going to turn into the fight and the brawl that we've seen happen, but with about 10 less seconds in the pockets of FaZe. So those moments we talked about being dangerous before have just absolutely exploded. The smoke canisters stop the break, the breach on the wall itself. They're trying to swing through. I don't know if they were trying to stop it, but Talamau to take the head off of Astro. That's not a rotatable breach. I'm assuming they impacted the Selmas on the wall. They're trying to stick the plant on the back end of Armory. Vidaking, he's going to see if he can heads down this, but they just pull him back up.
The time ran out there. First he had to move due to the smoke canister that was slowly removing his HP from the thermite.
Jim?
And then as they had to rotate around, so did G2. They just threw the bodies at it. Yes, there is a player on the main stairs, but if like 4 people run past at the same time, like, what are you really going to be able to do against it? So 3-2.
Let's go, baby.
Leading now for the first time in this match. See if they keep it up. They're going towards the bedroom. Managed to win this one all the way back in round number 2. Cross mats are going to be set up, and just to quickly reminisce about how G2 won this site.
Memories.
I mean, it's just memories from half an hour ago.
Shadows of my mind.
Go ahead, no worries.
No, I'm just giving you background.
Okay, yes. They were able to hold on to the side due to the fact that the balcony was unplayable. And the balcony was unplayable because CCTV was under control of G2. Because of that mute jammer on that wall, they were unable to open up. And again, FaZe is not going to be bringing a Thatcher.
Nope.
They were thinking about it, but they swapped off him to go to the Ying, I believe. And together with that Monty, this could be just a plant attempt that...
Oh!
Pain.
That is just one of those time moments. Great take from Bullet. The gun doesn't have a lot of bullets in it, but boy, is it pinpoint. Doki removed very early on. You're looking at an Azamulus round as well, which is a bit of a blow. We talk about how powerful that operator's been in the meta, in this tournament, in this game, in the right hands, and they get more powerful the longer the round goes on. So a bit of a blow there. Can FaZe Clan push behind the pace that has now just been allowed to them? They went for some drops and pressure, some bit of back and forth before, and then got the crouch and the swing round into the side itself. But here, away from the jammer, this is the reason why people don't really bring the Thatcher, because it's a radius. So if you can find a little spot out of the dome, well, that mute jammer's not stopping nothing.
Doku is also the player that was playing inside the CCTV, so if they want to be using that to their advantage again, G2, someone else needs to. And I believe that Virtue has taken that job upon himself. As you can see, the CCTV wall is still shut. There is still that mute jammer, and that means they only have some Excarios left now. And you were talking about that dome. That means they can only open up the top part of it, which is not really going to be giving you a good angle to stop him from doing so.
A minute 20, and they still have control of CC, they still have control of the back end, but with the focus that's being paid towards construction and now into Jacuzzi, they're going to see if they can try and pull something back. The Monty causing problems, the drone getting the reveal of the player, the mute jammer, pocket EMP isn't going to stop anything, so they try to impact it to offer them something else, but there's pings on the player. Astro, he's got himself stacked in. They're hoping he's gone unaware, just tucked around in the corner. He hasn't, and I think he's going to maybe find out. No, they don't know about the man in the corner. It's a no! It's a triple! Absolutely massive, and FaZe have been ripped apart. A 2 versus 2, they at least stemmed some of the flow and got the bodies elsewhere, but I really thought that was theirs, planting behind the hard wall. Vidaking watching from the safety of the door itself. They swing and pre-fire a post-plant back on the end of Jim. Virtue, he's able to get the damage done to the player, just teetering on the edge. I'm not quite sure if they now know where the one missing thread is, tucked by the Kiba barricade, and it's dabbling and wasting time here, and Virtue's been unable to cement the kill. Now he's got to try and fight his way through the 2 remaining players. There's the one close to his left he doesn't see, and FaZe somehow pull that one over the edge.
FaZe managed to make it stick. They cleared the site at the moment that Benja was able to go for that triple kill. The support just fell right as he went active. He did everything, Benja did everything he needed to do. He stayed hidden, he wasn't droned out, he had an amazing round to come through. Just that the rest of G2 no longer in sight to protect it. Maybe they leaned a bit too hard into the bait. Not sending someone back fast enough to actually deal with a potential plant situation, not having anybody in logistics, for example, to just come by through the doorway. Either way, a huge round from Benja, but it won't matter in the end. It's FaZe to take the win and find themselves even out on this first half of Clubhouse. Now headed over towards the defense themselves and starting off on Arsenal.
Oh, an even half, but I mean, for that being a G2 moment where they could have locked it away, it only came off the back of the heroics of a single player. Still not the situation you want to be in G2. This isn't their map. They were brought here, as pointed out. They don't like Club too much. It's been a constant ban for a while. So having themselves on an even half, they can get a little bit of momentum here. If they can try and get an early attack round on the first to the second, we might be seeing a bit of energy, maybe leading all the way. I said this gun can be pinpoint from range.
Yeah, Saber leaning back into the fight though. Virtue has fallen off, so G2 not too keen on taking that early engagement for something that seems so, well, insignificant on the long run. If you get that kill, great, but do you really want to be taking the risks, you know, fighting the Warden in CCTV on such a long angle without any possibility for a trade if you lose it? So it's the right call to just, you know, drop out Virtue and go for a different kind of approach, which G2's currently doing. As the drones roll through and the top floor is being cleared out, G2 no longer really have to worry about roamers because I believe they've all fallen back towards the site.
Says Alamau. He's trying to find himself quite close to the punch. The mirror window on the wall means that he can't really go too much further as of yet because he wants to be a bit of a surprise factor. Benja needs to start opening up some of these angles, maybe drop the camera, make things a bit uncomfortable, get some clarity for the potential of the Candelas, but you also don't want to hand them a free body. The hero plays are what cost G2, by their own words, yesterday. They want to make sure that they can leave the day as 5 heroes still fighting in the tournament, sending FaZe home. 2 stories of destruction from the Buck there. Oh! Well, absolutely destroyed. Bullet.
He's gonna need some medicine for that. So it's a painful shot to be receiving as Benja here. And that's gonna be putting G2 one man down. With a minute left on the clock, still preparation to do as they are opening up these hatches and formulating what kind of an attack they want to go for. I mean, Alamau is ready at the main stairs, but is the rest of G2 ready to follow up on him?
Well, you bait the first two, so you know they're not tricking it, and then you can pull off the second, which they do there. It takes a little bit longer, but it's better than having your X-Kairos wasted when you've lost that opening engagement as well. You need to make sure that what you have in the pockets is enough to finish the fight. The bounce of the grenade, remove the barb, hope to catch a close-by player, but look at FaZe. They're just not offering anything on the immediate gunfight. They've got that body advantage, they tuck themselves in, they're a little bit further from doors. The blinds start to come out on the back end, there's some pressure echoing, but nobody has pushed behind it. You've got 3 FaZe players watching towards blue. The drop is instantly into Moto. The swing round, Alamau finds the first and finds the second on the back of it with Virtue. They're getting one back, but FaZe get a couple of bodies. In the meantime, Doki and Alamau with barely any time. They lose one more engagement. It's the swing round on the back end. They can't quite find the players, and FaZe hold on to the round.
I was going to say, such a beautiful execute coming down from G2. They took Church under full control. They lost players elsewhere, but that's fine. They had Church. They weren't able to get that plan down. Alamau gets dropped as he was about to be tossing in the second Candela. That was meant, of course, to be going in for the Arsenal. And FaZe, they lead again. Having just lost it for a little bit, instantly take it back now at the start of the second half. But again, you mentioned it, the desk mentioned it, this map is supposed to be FaZe's. The next two are slightly more favored towards G2. But if G2 is going to be able to throw a spanner in the works here for FaZe on their own map pick, then that could be absolutely massive for the remainder of the day. Because don't forget, whoever wins this game needs to be playing another game in like 3 hours or something.
Yep.
Which means that there is a lot of fatigue that might strike.
There's a whole day.
5 seconds left before
Potentially. There's a whole long day ahead. And we had a long day yesterday as well. It was, you know, max OTs for both the maps that we had from G2. Both of them went all the way to the wire. They don't want to find themselves having to dabble that down once again. Obviously, with these maps, you know, Club was always going to be the bit of the risk, letting that through. There were moments where it could have paid off, but it's going to be trickier to prove here on their attack.
I was actually speaking to Li Loon yesterday night, and she was saying, like, you know, it might have just been 4 maps, but during the last map, we could see our players start to just, you know, break down a little bit. Like, the fatigue was starting to hit. And that's just coming back to the point here. If this goes to 3 maps, whoever will be going through, they need to be having their stamina in order, because otherwise they might be finding themselves with some fatigue later on. Either way, Bullet looking to go for a bit of an aggressive swing outside. He's not finding anything as of yet, as new openings are being made. The bedroom and the gym, of course, are the site. G2 finding themselves mostly on the roof, still working out what kind of an execute they want to be going for. Candelas get tossed into logistics, but no one is there to really follow up on it.
So the Azami swinging and jiggling across the door there. They're not quite in a position as they hear the Kirba barricade get put up to stem against that. The wall has to get widened, and actually Doki is tempted to see if that's still a possibility. Blood putting the pressure on the opposite end with Jacuzzi being popped open. Virtue as well gets them to rotate on CC, and they're just steadily prodding as the pressure starts to come through against Doki. He's driving himself in. He's pushed away. Alamau's dropped into logistics, and there's a fight going on either side of Benja, but it's Alamau that takes out Vida King as the first entrant. You can see with the Solars hunting underneath. They're going to see if they can try and maybe get the planner. There's rotation from FaZe on the back end. There's a fight he just misses out on, and the C4 pops in from Bullet. Suddenly, FaZe have a man advantage, and Benja lost in the smoke. Can't see the end of the fight with Doki getting one of his own. A minute, some semblance of control on the side. The rotate into the shotgun on the back end, and there's one more for FaZe.
Holding on very strong there. Again, the initial kills came through, the initial momentum was there for G2, but FaZe in their experience, they managed to slow it down. They managed to basically toss up a brick wall that G2 ran right into. Still get that round. 3-5. Lots of focused faces, not much talking going on FaZe's side.
I mean, they know the business they wanted to do on this map. I think that's the main thing right now, is these rounds, these defenses are where we see why it's FaZe's pick, and
Yeah.
Those motions are well rehearsed. As I sort of called it at the time, when the pressure started to come across, they lost the opener with the Candelas. You had the two players running underneath, Bullet with the C4, and Vidaking as the Solace. They were sort of well prepared for, well, if everything else fails, we still have a play, we still have a shout. They got the C4 kill from underneath. They stopped some of the push from above, and then they went, okay, well, now Bullet can rotate up, and we'll still keep Vidaking underneath. We still have this option. And that's that sort of level of knowledge, is G2 just didn't have the person putting the pressure. They thought they could try and swing their way through onto site, maybe get a hopped up plant onto the bed to stop the pressure. But then you have the shotgun locked inside the bathroom still. That wall wasn't popped open. There was nothing to force them away from their shield that was still up.
It's kind of thing, like they did have the initial pressure with Alamau jumping in, but as soon as he got blown up, and there's no pressure coming now from other pressure points on the map, you're just going to be running into these brick walls that could tough stuff. Anyway, the opening will be made into the garage. G2 is going to try and attack CCTV. If there's any textbook attack in Siege, this is the one. And Doki for free has been given Cyber, but also the mezzanines right here. A hipfire headshot will save him just slightly, but this should be proving well for G2. Alamau inside as well. Blur, get you go for a plant.
They're looking for the fight around the side of the box. Virtue finds one themselves. Doki gets the last lock in, and it's a flawless for G2 out of absolutely nowhere. They stormed the breaches. Shouted some Portuguese.
See, that's the advantage of having a Brazilian on your team. They also have an Australian on their team. So, you know, they can always, you know, send sass back to whoever they're playing against. That's the true reason they picked up Alamau.
Hold your garage.
Hold your garage.
Oh, is that what he shouted? Hold your garage.
I mean, it was just perfect there. It was read the weakness, saw the opportunity.
Yeah, no, totally.
Snatched it with two hands. For all the compliments I paid on the previous round to how FaZe structured their defense and how they moved and manipulated, if you just absolutely blindside any of that and finish the round before they can finish thinking of plan A, let alone plan B, well, you find success.
I think Cyber, he was still, you know, doing some setup elsewhere, and he was about to be getting back into the mezzanine, but G2 already figured it out. They went in quickly, and that's a mistake FaZe will not make twice. They'll be making sure someone is in there this time. I mean, the thing is, I was talking about how you have that step-by-step approach and how that should be followable for a team like G2. But, you know, they already basically executed the whole step-by-step plan before we even got to explaining what it is. So that shows you the speed of the attack that they have just shown. It's going to be 5-4. That's going to be giving G2 a little bit of momentum as well. Or at least breaks phases. Again, as we have the same opening. Last time it was challenged a little bit by FaZe, but this time they're choosing not to. Backing away from the fight.
What are G2 going to try and find as their first point of lead in? They had, obviously, the Ying as the pacey execute before from Alamau, and to be fair, it's a very good tool in G2's arsenal. They can be so decisive with Candelas, with pace, with that aggression, so much so that it's been banned against them from time to time. Here, instead, almost the opposite. And I'm thinking they thought Dirt was maybe something they could put the pressure on potentially. It's usually where you'll see a Monty try and drive down on the back end and just force the rear side of the hole to be a bit uncomfortable. We think where the two last players were on the side of FaZe, and you had one just off to the A case on the left, and you had one buried towards the default plant spot. The Monty maybe putting some pressure down from either that side or somewhere else could be a force.
Cameras are going to be very helpful. First set of Excaros taken care of. Second set of Excaros taken care of. Now, no more impacts on set player. Oh, actually not taken care of. All right.
Just hit the wrong end there. I mean, you're playing with an upside-down camera doing maths. I can understand a little bit of a lack of cool there, but the hatch is always going to get opened.
Yeah. Oh, one actually.
Oh, one. Okay, they did. Okay. A technical success because it stopped the hatch being broken up. And, you know, you still cost them an extra...
Semi-taken care of.
Semi-taken care of. Did the job. Good enough. But, I mean, it's always going to get open. The thing is, the reason it's just a battle of attrition. You try and take as much out as possible. But you can also keep impacts for Selma breaks against this. Obviously, you can't really do it against all the holds, but look, they're ready to make sure that this can't turn into it. You do it low, and then the Kiba barricade could replace it if they want to.
Now the thing is, if they want to go for a full opening now, so they need to get a grenade through first, because if they do it now, a grenade, ooh, but they don't have anything anymore, so that's just all they have now.
Oh, the Kiva barricade just comes in time to stop the lag, and as pointed out, they're out, so they just got to try and drive the site. Cyber popped behind the AK, he's able to get one on the end. They have to stop. You're looking at 21 seconds. The shield, it wants to try and break its way through. No more smoke canisters to stop it. They clear close right. There's nobody there. They don't have a way through. Close left. So they just got to try and deep dive the shield. They're a bit isolated with Blur over the shoulder of the cover. Souls pops up. Alamo pops down. And there's Astro with the fight. It's just Blur left standing with 3 players to try and cut through. Nothing else in the canisters. It is 6-4.
Map point. 1 now for FaZe. Still no real stress coming through. Only G2 managed to win that 1 round we had on CCTV. And to be honest, that's a side that any team on attack should be able to win if you're at the 6th Invitational.
Yep.
And they won it due to the fact that FaZe was a bit slow on their setup. G2 read it, they instantly took advantage of it, and they were able to take a win out of it. So again, there's nothing really that they should be worried about on FaZe's side for these next 2 rounds. Or at least there's nothing I am worried about. I'm fully convinced FaZe is going to be taking it in these next 2. Because the G2 attacks, whilst they've found some success, they've found some entries here and there, but it hasn't been stunning on Clubhouse. It hasn't been crippling FaZe whatsoever.
No, it's entirely right. You're looking at them failing on the execute. The most important part of your hold is that's truly what gets tested, and they haven't been able to really put the pressure. There's never really been a moment where you're like, the kid's going down.
Yeah.
Or the kid is close to going down. They've never had that throughout this attacking half so far, and even in the round that they won, it was brute force, smash and grab around, which doesn't really work as well on this side.
Which is what they have been, if you think about it, trying for the majority of their attacks. Like the Yinks come in, they just rush for it. The structural work is not really there. And it worked out on that 1 round because they weren't quite ready. Is it going to work now? That's a different question that we'll see answered soon. As a quick opening into the construction will be made. It's just going to be providing some extra lines aside. And this is a massive change on the bedroom approach that we didn't see from FaZe. The opening that will be there on CCTV. Now that's going to be making sure that the player that will potentially be wanting to challenge the highway is not going to be feeling as safe to do so. And that means that, you know, when you start putting pressure back towards that...
Here we go. Doki gets caught out first, immediately by Souls on the back end, dropped and watched. Benja does get Souls in response. The Candela's come through, but so does Blur and Virtue. Virtue gets knocked back, though. The pair of them, they're trying to fight their way through onto the breach. Astro's doing everything to hold on, gets caught out by the blind. They're driving in, and Alamo tears the head off of the back end of Cyber. There's a pause in a moment. Benja, he's holding the rotate, making sure nobody can get too close. They're hopped up. Bullet's got himself towards the construction door, and if they try and slink through Jim, they'll probably get caught. They want to hit that reinforced wall, the one in the middle of Jim, so they can buy themselves a second, and Benja bounces it round onto Vida. They're droning, they're pulling, and there is G2 fighting.
Good, really good call, Byron. Good shit, Carl. That's his name. I forgot his name.
Listen, you play for Fabian's love. You know this. You know this when you're in the team.
Tactical break coming through. There is some time, of course, to discuss now. They still have it. Why not use it now?
Yeah, let's have a listen.
Ataque baixo, vamos fazer por bomba se os caras estiverem fazendo lurk, tá bom? Sim, vamos botar em ritmo de jogo dos caras. Ataque dinheiro, foi bom. Só que vamos ter cuidado com essa kill ali na Switch, tá bom? Porque o cara vamos jogar mais junto ali na Switch. E se for ataque academia, do Montanha também deu bom, acho que a gente pode repetir, tá bom? Tá bom. Defesa de overtime, baixo, tá bom, galera? Sem mistério. Souls, pega Jagger em vez de Valk, tá bom? Pra ter mais gadgets, mais recursos, porque eles estão só atacando wing e não estão tacando flash pra tirar o SDA. Isso. Bora, galera. Bora.
First stage.
Bora, bate aí pra cima, cara. Bora.
There's definitely some worries. I mean, some last notes being given there on how to approach this last defense potentially for them.
I mean, you want to look it out, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. You don't want this to go to OT and suddenly make it that even dogfight.
Because you're onto Villa next. You're onto G2's map. You're onto... You know, it's a place that they're very happy to, I think, sort of stretch themselves. They have a good bit of growth there. And Villa's not the most common battleground for teams as well. Some teams really have a preference away from it.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, talking about brute forces, I think that last round was a beautiful example of that. Lost the first frag, then they just tossed in all the Candela's grenades and they just went for it. And again, successful because this time the gunfights did go their way. And they're going to be re-attempting them. Either way, we are headed towards bar stage. A top floor hold is often known here for defense. Verticality is kind of the name of the game because you can take down most of the safe planting positions from up above, which doesn't really make them that safe if you think about it. And that means that the attack is going to try and take control of that area as well. Try and find at least construction if you want to be going for a stage plant. Or you could be taking the bedroom if you want to go for a bar plant. So, depending on what your approach is going to be, you'll take a certain amount of that top floor under your own wing.
Bullet in a partially aggressive position there. Maybe waiting to see if somebody decides to try and befriend them, but it's Benja blinding their way through on the fight. On the back end of the cover of the Candelas, doesn't fully check it.
Oh no.
King tucked onto the corner. We heard the hatch break above them. You hope that they double check it. They do. And then they get the kill behind it. That could have been as deadly as Benja almost was in the previous round. They deal with the problem quite early on. And they get rid of one of the big stops towards a lot of plant attempts here. You're looking at Candelas and smokes in the pocket of Alamau. You're looking at stage and the pressure they're putting above the hatch. You're getting ideas of what they might be wanting to do.
FaZe actually decided to go for a more horizontal approach for this hold. Only a single player up on that top floor, quickly dispatched as well. That's really why they reinforced off that hatch, just to make sure that, you know, the attackers will have to use some of that utility to open it up. Probably will save either two Selmas or an extra thermic for that job. Rotations already happening in the meantime. You see Blur, Doki rotating around. The opening will be made by Virtue just so the hatch is opened up. That will provide them some cover if they do want to go for a stage plan. The next thing, though, is going to be Yokais and the horizontal angles you need to deal with. Souls going quite aggressive against Doki right here, but not able to connect.
The pressure on towards Stock on the back end, just catches one, can't catch the next. Astro, a very important trade back as the blinds come on the back end. Benja, the rotate all the way around to Kitchen. He's going to try and draw some attention away from the fight and force them to pay some towards him instead. You can see Cyber is rotating because of it. The grenades, they're trying to use them to open up the castle door and make sure this fight turns into a fast one. The pre-fire on the angle. Astro suffers in the meantime. Bullet, he's still back on the billiards table, holding pretty for now. 30 seconds. You assume the pressure's going to start coming more in towards his back end. The blinds, once again, but nothing on the back of it. Still trying to fish and find one entrance body, but it's Blur that gets caught off and the kit gets out of hand. Alamau, he's going to see if he can try and lead in behind the back of this. That one will roll deeper and deeper around on the corner. There's a pre-fire and a swing, but 15 seconds and one more falling. Cyber has the corridor unlocked. The pre-fire onto Virtue, can't quite get the end, and they pop right back round. And we have a Clubhouse that is covered in FaZe flags.
For a second there, it looked like G2 might have been able to lock off at least an overtime to go their way.